Let's bring in Scott Keogh, CEO of Volkswagen of America. Scott, this is a big week for you guys. You are launching the ID.4, your first all-electric vehicle here in the United States. And what stands out is that you're going after the biggest segment in the auto industry, the crossover utility vehicle market. And you're not just going after people who want an EV. You think anybody who's interested in a crossover will be interested in the ID.4. Am I right?
Phil, you don't mean me. You summed it up exactly right. So, no, this is a big week. The cars just arrived out of the ports in Baltimore. They're arriving at dealerships now. A few customers got hold of them on Friday. But that's exactly right. If you want to make electric vehicles happen, the trick is not to sell $100,000 cars to 2% of the market share. The trick is to sell it to real Americans who pay $32,000, $35,000, $40,000 for a car. That's what we want to do. The segment's 4 million units. And we put this vehicle right in the heart of it to drive adoption and drive success. You're absolutely right.
You're pricing this starting at just under $40,000. That's before the federal tax rebate, if you will, that you get from the federal government, the tax credit. So that would bring the price down substantially down to the low 30s. And you're going to be building these in Chattanooga. Am I correct?
That's correct, Phil. These vehicles right now, of course, we're importing. But the factory is being ramped up in Chattanooga, and by September of next year, they'll be coming out of our factory in Tennessee. So I was just down there last week meeting with the workers, and they couldn't be more excited to be making an electric vehicle. It's really, really cool to bring this technology into the heart of the South, the heart of America.
Scott, every automaker is ramping up their EV production and their projections in terms of where sales go over the next several years. But more than one person that I've talked with in the auto industry has said, look, I'm not really sure we're going to have the raw materials needed for battery production or for some of the key components so that we meet these projections. Do you think we need to temper overall for the industry the expectation for how quickly EV sales ramp up?
Look, Phil, I don't think the issue is going to be raw materials at the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the American consumer. The American consumer will 100% dictate how quick the ramp up is. Now, in my opinion, having held these conversations for a year, it was always 1% of the market, 2% of the market, then 10. Look, I think we're going to be looking at 20 to 30% of the market relatively quick. And if you look at it, there are some giant factors at play. Giant factor number one is global governments. That's a pretty big factor. Giant factor number two, the automotive industry is putting about $100 billion invest into it. This is going to bring stunning cars, stunning technology, massive scaling effects. And finally, environment. Consumers are interested. The environment's important. So these massive shifts, Phil, aren't going to go away. The government, the invest, the environment, plus the American consumer. I see it happening, and I see it happening quicker every year.
Scott, real quick, I want to ask you about the chip shortage. How long do you think this lasts for the industry? Does it ease this summer, or do you see this lasting well into the fall?
I see it lasting into the fall, but honestly, it's something we're navigating week by week. I think we've been able to do a decent job at Volkswagen, frankly. We've handled it with global allocation. We've handled it by putting the chips in the cars that we have better margin on, and obviously the cars we don't, we've been pulling away. So I think it's navigatable, but it will go into the fall without a doubt from my perspective, Phil.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.